You're looking at a daily chart of NVIDIA, and thank you for watching my daily review. I had a little glitch in the system on my website last night, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on and find a solution. So it's been a pretty busy day in the market too. A busy day for me and a busy day in the market. You can see NVIDIA here. This is a stock that's a leading stock. It's not going to form a nice base for you. So if you want to buy it, one of my favorite ways to buy a stock is a pullback to a moving average. And right here, it's just kind of, this is, what would be considered a, bull wedge here. Back to the 10 EMA, and it bounced a little bit today, but the volume wasn't, I wouldn't call this a real, big bounce. Maybe it'll get a bounce tomorrow or next week, but I would expect that to trade higher. This thing, if you look at the weekly, it's forming a 3 weeks tight here pattern if I close in on this. So I think this week was good job, Marty. Ooh, this was yeah, the last was 389. Then last week was 393. And this week's hopefully to close around 390. We'll see what happens. 385 today. So in spirit, it's going to be a 3 week tight, hopefully a pattern there, unless it ramps tomorrow or it just crashes, but I doubt if we'll do either one. Well, we'll see. Take it one day at a time. Anyway, NVIDIA is a leading stock, and I'm just going to go through some of the semiconductors here first, because they've been holding up well. They've been leaders, from January till March, the first quarter. They had, they ramped. AMD, one of the leaders with NVIDIA, just like the market, and gave a lot of the gains back, half of them back, roughly. And then now, May and June, they've shown strength again, ramping higher. And this one pulled back to its 10 EMA right here as well. Bounced slightly today. I would expect a bigger bounce here soon. On Tuesday I believe it was Tuesday, it had a nice sharp bounce and gave it all back on Wednesday. Yeah, it was up 5% and then gave it back 5% yesterday. So I would expect a bounce here. AMD is doing nothing wrong, holding up well, holding its gains, just digesting gains essentially, and that's what the Nasdaq's doing too. It's had big gains and holding its gains well. These, these are real mild pullbacks, and I'm going to get into pullbacks later on. But we need to embrace pullbacks, and this is RMBS, which made a new high and then just pulled back to its 10 EMA again. So that's looks pretty common for the semiconductor stocks. I would say those are emblematic of the semiconductor stocks. One that's going to be on our watch list for tomorrow is AEHR. You can see this base pattern ran up the right side real fast, down through the 50 and right back through it. But now it's pulling back today, when the market was pretty strong, this thing's pulling back. So allowing this green line, the 10 EMA, to catch up. So give it a couple more days to shake some fools out, and then we'll see it if it can make new highs. Anyway, I'm going to move on to the biotech stocks, because I kind of like the biotech space. It's been stalled recently, but once again, here we go. VKTX, this one, ramped with the positive trial news, made a new high, then pulled back to the 21. Yeah, it undercut it a little bit, but it stabilized now, is ramped, 6-7 straight sessions, and I believe it was near a new high today. It made over 25, so very, very close to new highs for VKTX. That one is looking good. EXAS is another one. This one was in a base, ramped higher, just pulled back to the 10, and now it's been up like the last 6 or 7 sessions, the last couple of days with heavy volume. So Exact Sciences looks good as well, and so does IMGN. This one is a high tight flag pattern, pulled back to the 10, then ramped higher, pulled back again. Today was up 7%. If you look at the weekly chart, you can see a short stroke pattern here, as this one was up 144% 1 week, and then the next week was was up 3%, but did not take out the previous week's high of $14. See, the high was $13.96, close, and then now it's proceeding to move higher. It's just allowing the moving averages to catch up, and you can see that RS line showing strength. Is it the RS line is trading through the moving averages there on the weekly. And there it did it on the daily, and just yeah, just allowing the moving averages to catch up. So I like that one as well. I'm going to go to the retail. Retail's getting hit because of this impending recession, the shoe stock, and the just the apparel. The goods are getting hit hard, and the services are doing okay. The restaurants and the hotels, and but Elf Beauty is cosmetics stock. This one pulled back to its 50, and then ramped higher in iron earnings, and then yesterday pulled back to the 10 and just had an inside day today, doing nothing wrong, just digesting gains. And if you look at the pattern of this stock, that's what it does. Ramps up, trades sideways, and then ramps up and trades sideways, and then ramps up. And this one pulled back to the 50, but I would expect it to, I hopefully hover around 100 or above 100 here for a few more weeks at least. But ELF is strong. CELH is Celsius, the energy drink here. This one gap higher. I believe that was earnings, pulled back to the 21. Once again, the pullback finds support. There's your support there, up 6% and closing in the upper half of the daily range, and then ramped to new highs and now pulled back to the 10. So yeah, you gotta embrace pullbacks is the theme for the day. This is COCO. Once again, yesterday pulled back to the 10 and then ramped today, closed. It traded at a new high and then was up 6% at 92% of its daily range. So, and you can see by the RS line that it's just pointing due north. So this one is showing a lot of strength, and that is Vita Coco, which I use in my drinks, some drinks. My day drinks, not my night drinks. This is Monday. Software had kind of a strange day today. I'm going to go through some of these, the ones that I like. Once again, the pullback, sharp pullback on Wednesday, back to its 10 EMA, and it was on our ready list today. It was up 3-something%, but to me, that's not a bounce. 3% is a nice move. Close at the upper portion of its quartile. Real light volume, though. I would expect that thing to move more going forward. Palo Alto Networks, this one was up on Monday after the announcement of its inclusion into the S&P 500. Made that high at 230, then just pulled back. That's why I say you got to embrace these pullbacks. Don't panic or fear because your stock's going down a couple days. They're not going to go up every day. So I embrace pullbacks. And if you didn't own it, you could say, oh, shoot, it's coming down. It's a good chance for me to own it. Just had an inside day today. Is up 3%. And above average daily volumes, and it closed near the high of its daily range, 97%. So that's a nice hammer candle going into tomorrow. What else do I have in software? Oh, CrowdStrike. Yeah, the reason why I want to point out CrowdStrike is because it's it was taking market share, obviously, from its earnings report from SentinelOne, and it pulled back here to the 21 on its earnings date, and it's starting to pinch in real tight here. And tight is good for a stock, trading tight, consolidating, and I would expect this thing to ramp higher pretty soon. But I did want to mention a couple of stocks. We talk about earnings. If you want to hold the stock for the shelf of its growth, you're going to have to hold it 12 to 24 months. Well, if you held into earnings, you can get brutalized. This is a real disaster here. This one was on our watch list, indicated that earnings are coming up. You got to have some risk management, a big cushion, but man, a 17% drop, that hurts. Massive volume. If I own the stock, I would just sell it, move on, because there's too many other ones that are moving higher. And you ask yourself, is this one of the top quality stocks in software? And the answer is no, obviously not. The report wasn't that bad, but you could do better. I could do better than Smartsheet. The other one is HashiCorp. This one has no earnings. They guided lower. There's really nothing compelling about this. Down 25%. And if you owned it, I would just sell it and move on. You can look at the massive volume here. And, was forming a stage 1 base. That looked really nice, but you know what? They don't always work out. Beautiful charts, often crash. So, this is a game of probabilities and odds. So this one crapped out on those who are holding long. I feel sorry for them. I've been there and done that. So anyway, I'm going to move on from these stocks. I want to look at some leaders. SMCI Supermicro is in a race to 300. It looks like here. This one, gapped higher, pulled back. This is the NVIDIA earnings, I believe. Pulled back barely to the 21, and yesterday kind of foreshadowed today's event. It was up 260 something yesterday, 261, and then closed at 239. And people say, no, it's a climax top. This thing's gonna crash. And no, not really. Up 6% today. And had a nice day. I mean, you could tell by the RS line, this thing is a strong stock, allowing the moving averages to catch up. Another one I wanted to look at was Tesla, because it has news after hours with GM. It's been up 10 consecutive days, and some people like to employ the 8-week hold rule, stock going up to more than 20% in a 2-week period or whatever. But I would just watch it. I mean, if it slices its 50, I'm going to sell it. But you know, if you want to hold 8 weeks, that's fine. It's has a lot of strength and momentum. And you certainly don't want to bet against these, you know, some of the smarter CEOs in the world, whether you like them or not. Elon Musk is a good CEO. Advanced Micro, I wanted to get into these pullbacks. I mentioned the pullbacks to moving averages, and you want to embrace these. This is Advanced Micro coming back. I'm going to go through just a bunch of them. Pulte Homes, the home builder stock, pulling back to the 21. Yeah, it stayed below there for a few days, but then ramped higher. A lot of these home builder stocks did the same thing. You know, they closed, they traded below the 21 for a few sessions, then ramped higher. GRBK, same thing, you know, down to the 21 and then ramped higher. This one's been up 5 or 6 sessions in a row. So you got to embrace pullbacks to moving averages. Now, Hubs was another one that I wanted to point this one out because this is a real sharp pullback. This is a little unnerving if you're holding it, and it, you know, goes down $27, you know, and 5%. And closed near the low of the day, but, you know, bounced today and now is above the 10 EMA. So sometimes, you know, there's just, you got to think about a prior uptrend. People are going to take profits, right? And then so they take profits, and then you want to wait for buyers to step in. And that's why I wanted to show you TGTX, because this has had a breakout and a prior uptrend, a real sharp prior uptrend. I thought it was going to bounce here at the 10 EMA. So I'm ready to buy here, but oops, no bounce. So if you're anticipating a bounce and it does this, then you're screwed. So you got to wait for the bounce. I thought it would bounce at the 21. Did it bounce? No, it didn't. And so if you bought before this bounce or no bounce at the 21, then you're screwed again. And so it kind of carved out this little bottom here by the 50. It came back to the 50, and the first pullback to the 50 after a breakout from a proper base is usually a gift. Not always. Like I say, we're dealing in probability here in the stock market. There are no certainties. Nothing happens 100% of the time. But this is a good probability. It was up 2.5%, and yesterday, you know, nearly 2%. And today really bounced sharply, 7% with you know, above average volume, and closed you know, near the high of the daily range. So I expect TGTX to continue a move higher here, as it you know, if you're an Elliott wave person, you could say this is a wave up, and then there's this wave down, and there's a new wave that'll take it higher to new highs above the 35. I'm not an Elliott wave expert, so I'm not going to say that's going to happen. But anyway, I want to look at pullbacks. Spotify, I mentioned the gift of the 50. Here's the base, pulls back right here to its 50, then ramps higher. It was at 128 here, and now it's 149 today, and it was actually above 150, 155. So that's a nice move, bounce from its 50 simple moving average. CROX is another one, a textbook here, is it had this stage 1 base, and it broke out, had this sharp move there from a 66 to what, 66 there to, whoops, sorry, 66 to like 104. That's a nice move. And then just gradually pulled back in lighter volume. You can see the volume here to its 21, then it ramped and pulled back to the 50. So that was the first pullback to the 50 since its breakout from a base, and then it ramped real hard. And that's kind of uncharacteristic for CROX. It doesn't really ramp hard like that. And then it formed this base, which was turned out to be a faulty base, wedging higher here into earnings, and got slammed into earnings. And now it's just carving out a bottom here as it touched down on its 200 simple moving average a couple times. It retested it, and now it's been rejected at its 50. But I just wanted to point out the pullbacks to the 21, the pullbacks to the 50, the first time after a base. So embrace pullbacks, folks. I look for bounces, wait for the bounce. Don't be too anxious. Anyway, thanks for watching. We never give up.